you now replaced me at ESPN for interviews and time around Victor. So before we talk about the Vegas week, I just want to know, what do you think of him? What's your impression of him? You've obviously probably heard a lot about him. Tell me what you think.
As most NBA nerds on Twitter, I've been following something about Victor since he was 15, 16 years old, and watching clips and seeing exactly what he was going to do and how it was going to pan out. I remember, I think during the games in Vegas, the initial ones, the G League exhibition ones, when he played the Ignite and Scoot, I remember there was a game that night that I had to cover, and I was very upset that I had to cover it, because I think it might have been Zion in San Antonio for one of his first preseason games back, honestly. But I remember having to go back and no, I'm going to watch this full game as soon as I got back to the room that night, and watching the second game, and being so impressed and following him obviously throughout the season, like most NBA fans have. But the thing that has jumped out to me in person, seeing everything that he has done since the draft, throwing out the first pitch at the Yankees game, doing all the media, doing the subway and everything, it's just how poised he is for the amount of pressure that is being put on him. And I think he has talked about his parents, and he talked about his agents and everybody around him, his team, kind of mentally preparing him for what's to come. And I think I asked Pop about this at the post-draft availability where we talked to Pop, right after the pick. And he again, credited his parents for everything they have done for him. It's just, he understands his place in the spotlight. I think we kind of saw a little bit about that even this past week with the Britney Spears situation of how he came out and handled that and talked about it right away. I think sometimes there's teams that probably would have not put him anywhere near a microphone 12 hours after something.
We have the video from that. I don't know what happened to her. The video that I saw was from the back. Her head snapped back. I don't know what happened to her. But what I do know is that Victor had nothing to do with it. Right. I don't think he ever saw her. I don't think he knew it was Britney Spears. I don't know what she said, but I can say based on that video, Victor had nothing to do with it. But You're right. He did come out the next day and address it.
I mean, 12, 14 hours later, he's in front of microphones talking about it, and was very poised in how he handled that situation. He knows there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. He knows, we've seen how he's dealt with pressure. Just that first game, 9, 8, 2 for 13 from the field. And then he comes back and responds the way he does. And I think the poise and being prepared for the moment is kind of the thing that has stood out to me, other than the fact that he's way up there. That's the other thing that you have to look for, is the fact, I'm not buying 7'3", 225 on the roster. All right. I'll buy the 225. I'm not buying 7'3 and a half.
Let me say this about his height, because I was saying 7'5" for months. Yeah. I didn't make up 7'5". I was told 7'5". Okay. Zion. Victor announced he was 7'3", and when he was measured in bare feet, he came up at 7'3" and 5/8", right?
Yeah.
So that would be 7'4" in bare feet.
That's 7'4" to me.
And in shoes, which is what NBA players are usually measured in.
And you know what? I'm pretty sure they usually play in those as well. So I think that might be key to the measurement.
Yes. So I think he actually is 7'5" when he's out on the court, but for some reason, he doesn't want to be 7'5". He does not want to be 7'4". He wants to be 7'3". So people are now calling him 7'3" because that's what he wants. But one of the things that's strange is when you have guys who want to be shorter, like KG for years called himself 6'11". He wasn't. He was 7'1". I think Durant is listed at 6'10". Jackson just pointed out to me he's 7 foot. I think most people want to go taller. Nobody in the NBA is, very few people in the NBA are 6'9", because if you're 6'9", you call yourself 6'10". 6'10" sounds a lot better than 6'9".
Trey
but
Trey Murphy has said that before. He's 6'9.5". But he's like, I'm going to call myself 6'10" because who's going to say they're 6'9.5"? He's like, nobody's going to say they're 6'9.5".
And if you're 6'9.5", you can call yourself 6'10". Right?
Yeah, it's when you're 6'7.5" and you try to call yourself 6'10".
Right. And there's a ton of guys out there listed at 7 feet that are not 7 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are occasionally guys who want to be short. You remember like a couple years ago, I'm going to say maybe it was 4 years ago, the NBA said they were going to remeasure everybody and give accurate heights.
Yep. And
like all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people lost an inch.
Yeah.
Except for LeBron gained an inch. He went from 6'8" to 6'9".
LeBron gained an inch. I think KD. That's when KD went from like 6'9" to 6'10".
Yeah.
There was a few. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe KD's actually 6'11", but whatever. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
but no, ahead. I mean that's the other thing. I mean, obviously, look, the height is right, and I know. I watched him. I stand next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the other day, and I know Kareem is older and he's a little hunched over, but he towers just over everybody and everything at all times. The funniest thing to me about the entire week in Vegas is when you have the team huddle, and everybody puts their hand up, for the break, and everybody kind of reaches high. Victor still reaches high. Like nobody's reaching you in the huddle, Victor. Like everybody's gonna go straight up if they're gonna meet you in the huddle. He's just puts his hand up high, gets, for the break, and like you just see this huddle of hands here, and then like Victor's is like way up here. It's like, come on, man. So that is obviously one thing, but again, the poise that he has shown, in interviews, the poise that he has shown just around, that has been, to me, the most impressive thing after watching him come over just right before the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's been preparing for this for a long time, as you could imagine. It sounded in some interviews like he kind of was doing two things. He was practicing a little bit with the Spurs Summer League team, but he didn't go with them to Sacramento.
Correct.
Sounded like he's been spending some time with the Spurs frontline guys. And he didn't just go to dinner with Tim Duncan and Ginobili and
David Robinson and Sean Elliott.
Sean Elliott. He also may have been on the court with like Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, etc. Did you get that impression that that's what was going on while the rest of the Summer League guys were in Sacramento?
Yeah, I think he actually kind of slipped and said it, and I think it was that first interview. So Jeremy Sohan was I think stayed back. So he's been working out with those guys, and I think that was kind of part of when they went to California Classic. It was, hey, look, you guys go do that. I'm going to stay back, get settled in San Antonio, but let's work out with these guys, the guys who I'm going to be playing with, the guys who are going to be in the starting lineup with me, things like that. And I think that's probably what he needs to be doing here for the next 2 to 3 months. I think that's what the plan is going to be. Is
the Spurs' new facility open yet?
Not yet, but it should be open for training camp. So okay. He made a comment about, I asked him after the game on Sunday, so the second game, what are your plans? What are you going to do? And he's like, look, I got to figure out where we're practicing. If it's going to be in San Antonio, if it's going to be elsewhere, we're doing, we're going to have like a little mini camp somewhere, I guess. So, and I think some of that is because the new facility is supposed to be open for training camp, but they're still putting the final touches on it and how long they're going to be there. So he's going to be putting in work for the next 2 to 3 months. And in fact, I think the phrase that he used was, these next 2 to 3 months are going to be great for me, and they're going to change my life. I mean, that's how he's looking at the time between now and the start of the regular season.
Let's have some mid-July practice facility talk here real quick, because we are in the dead period. And Joe Cronin, the general manager of the Blazers, announced on Monday that it could be, quote, months and months before Dame Lillard is traded. So we can all go on vacation, Andrew. We'll see you in September. So the Spurs kind of set the standard for the modern practice facility when they opened their current one. Don't hold me to this, but I want to say it was like in 2003-ish, sometime in the early 2000s. Maybe it was a year later, a year earlier. where they had this standalone facility that was, some distance away from the center of town. And like with everything with the Spurs, a whole bunch of people came in and copied it. And so when new practice facilities went up over the whole NBA, teams started copying it, and setting up these new facilities. And I could kind of go down the list of teams that have built new facilities, that sort of are somewhat like the Spurs, or somebody would take it to the next level and then the Spurs would, somebody would take it to the next level and they would copy that. But the Spurs kind of were the genesis of it all. And so over the course of the last decade, we've seen a majority of the NBA open facilities. I mean, I could go down the list and tell you some of them. Chicago has a beautiful facility right next to the United Center.
Yes.
The Wolves opened up facility next door to the Target Center. Gorgeous facility. One of the cool things about hold on about the Magic.
Oh yeah.
the Wolves facility, part of what their facility is, used to be a movie theater, and they kept one of the theaters that they used to as a big screening room. It's still a theater. It's actually
really fun.
Yeah.
The Lynx also used that facility. Right there in Minnesota as well. So that was nice because it's very much the same thing there.
The Suns opened up one a couple of years ago. The Lakers and Clippers have opened up the new facilities within the last decade. I literally could go down the whole list. The Cavs opened one that was the class of the league in 2006, 7-ish. That's a little bit not quite the same, but that was it. The 76ers opened a gorgeous facility in Camden and have a helipad there for when Josh Harris flies down from New York so he can land on top of the practice facility. I can go on and on about facilities. The Nets opened one in an old warehouse in Brooklyn. So all that was happening. Okay. Then last year, the Orlando Magic raised the stakes and they opened up I've never seen it, but I've seen pictures of it. So you've seen it?
I've seen it. I've toured it. I've been in it.
Okay, go for it. Tell us about.
Right.
I'm sorry, but this is not really about analyzing basketball, but I'm interested in it. So tough luck in mid-July. Go ahead.
So the one thing about the Magic facility, first of all, it is maybe a block and a half away from the Amway Center. So it's still very, very close. It is state of the art everything. It is. It's more, and I think what we're going to start seeing, it's more about the lifestyle of and taking care of everything about the player, rather than just here's 2 practice courts, here's a weight room, here's a very nice locker room for you. Now the kitchen facilities are being upgraded. There's, you can get your smoothies here. You can get your 3 meals a day if you want over here. Here's a family area that all your family can be in if you want. The locker rooms themselves, there's actual closets behind these lockers.
Right. The players have each player has a walk-in closet behind his locker. Is that correct in saying that?
That is 100% correct. I saw it and I was amazed. The actual training part is all state of the art. All of the medical needs you have, you need to get scanned. We're used to X-ray. Everything is in the building. Yeah,
one of the things that's happening, like the Hawks and the Wolves, and there may be more. They have an MRI center attached to their practice facility.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.